What's up, gang? Thank you for joining us. Welcome back. This is the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show podcast, your source for news, rumors, and highlights in the world of professional wrestling. I am Nick Nightmare, your host, as always, and let's get right into last night's SmackDown Live, which I will emphatically give 2 stars. 2-star show. I was not happy with the show last night. The matches, again, didn't make too much sense. The action was decent in a few of these matches, but all in all, the show just seemed to be lacking something. And my biggest complaint about the show overall is that they lead us to believe that we are going to see a follow-up confrontation between Daniel Bryan and The Miz following their heated confrontation on Talking Smack last week, where Daniel Bryan calls Miz a coward and Miz goes on to flip the hell out, and it was either incredible acting or Daniel Bryan really struck a chord and the Miz just went into overdrive, and now we have this story without a story, which is what I'm going to call it. We have this underlying current of Daniel Bryan versus The Miz, but we're not going to really do anything about it. We're not even going to put them on TV together at all. That I do not understand. I understand tensions were running high, but tensions were running high back in the day between Shawn and Brett. Didn't stop you from making them interact. I know Daniel can't wrestle. They may be looking into it. But even if he doesn't get back into the ring, why can't Daniel Bryan stay in his general manager role and battle The Miz through other superstars? Book him in interesting matches. People will be behind Daniel Bryan no matter what his decision is. So they would be grateful to see him put Miz through the ringer. The crowd would probably get behind it a lot. And if The Miz would just do what he used to do, and he was much better in the ring a few years back when he was with John Morrison, and they were doing that World Tag Team title reign with them, and he even went on after that, his main event with at WrestleMania with John Cena, where he won the title. Like, I was a Miz fan then. I loved The Miz. I had the awesome t-shirt. My wife couldn't understand it. She can't stand him. But I loved The Miz. I've always appreciated The Miz. I didn't care that he came from the real world. I saw him on the reality show, the Tough Enough and everything. I was into it. I don't care where you came from, as long as when you get into the ring, you do what you gotta do. And you improve over the years. And The Miz has improved tremendously. But Daniel Bryan is correct. The Miz is the typical WWE superstar. What he does is he plays everything safe. He's not going to go overboard. And he has a point, The Miz, when he says, I've been here 10 years plus, I've never been injured, blah, blah. Everything he said is true. And what he's doing in protecting his career and the longevity of his body by not being a quote-unquote spot monkey and doing these crazy bumps and stuff in the ring to hurt your own back and risk your neck and get hit in the face. He doesn't want to do that because he does want to be the Kentucky Fried Chicken. He does want to be in commercials. He does want to be the Marine. He wants to do all these things, and you can't do that with a busted face. And that's what the problem is now with the fans and The Miz. We don't care because you don't really care. You will blame the company for not putting the focus on the Intercontinental title match. But the problem with them not putting the focus on the belt is because they put it on a guy like The Miz. The Miz is not known for his tremendous wrestling skill. The Intercontinental Championship is worth more than The Miz. It's worth more than even Apollo Crews. He's too new to have been given that title. But be that as it may, The Miz is our Intercontinental Champion. The fireworks exploded last week. They come into it this week. Anywhere you look, they say Daniel Bryan confronts The Miz tonight on SmackDown. And it didn't happen. It didn't happen at all. The show opens up highlighting that altercation between the two men. The show then goes to show Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan in the back. Shane's giving Daniel the business, like, you shouldn't get in the talent's face. You shouldn't provoke people. Maybe you should use better judgment. And then Daniel Bryan's like, yeah, okay, that you're right. I get it, and there's nothing that you're saying that's wrong, but it's funny coming from a guy that's about to pick a fight with Brock Lesnar. Obviously, I paraphrase a lot. You guys know that. But that was the gist of it. So now, is there going to be a rift between Shane and Daniel when they're doing it? I don't know. And at no point did Daniel Bryan and The Miz come face to face on SmackDown Live. Missed opportunity, terrible, terrible planning. You know what happens? Let's get into the rest of the show, everybody. I will tell you what happens. We start off with The Miz coming out to the ring, almost to continue his promo from last week. It was not nearly as impactful because now we know that you're playing, and that is part of the show. But he comes off saying all the same things. He gets on the fans' case and blah, blah, blah. Any minute now, I'm expecting to hear the Ride of the Valkyries play and have Daniel Bryan come out and get this shindig started. But what do we get instead? We get Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler, who I fully expected to remain in the World Heavyweight title picture to have more competitors for Dean Ambrose and AJ Styles to mix it up here and there. But it seems as if they're just almost hitting reset again, which is frustrating because The Miz has been put in this feud with Apollo Crews, who is now not going to fight The Miz because Dolph comes out. He wants The Miz, he wants to help The Miz essentially. He wants to tell The Miz, I am here. You're here, let's fight. Prove everybody wrong. Show everybody you're an Intercontinental Champion. Show everybody you're a fighting champion. Show everybody you're the man you say you are. Show your wife. Show this one. Show that one. And any wrestling fan knows that The Miz isn't going to fight him. He's going to act like he's going to fight him. He's going to take off his jacket. He's going to give his wife his belt. He's going to do all this shit. Then he's going to walk right out, which is exactly what he did. Proving everybody's point, not helping the point of view about The Miz in the eyes of the fans. And again, a missed opportunity. I think if you would have let The Miz throw down with Dolph Ziggler right then and there, it would have helped him a lot. It would have helped him prove that everything he's saying is not just a bunch of bullshit, and that he's not just an actor, and he's not just putting this on. That, no, I'm the Intercontinental Champion. I came here to be a wrestler. I didn't come here to just be famous like everybody thinks. Although it certainly does look that way. So The Miz and Dolph go back and forth, jib-jab with the mouths, and at the end we had nothing. We got nothing for it. We had Dolph standing in the middle of the ring, The Miz walking out, Maurice pushing him out because he's acting like he wants to fight, even though we know he's not gonna. Terrible, terrible segment. Unnecessary. I don't know what the point of that was. You will know what the point of it by the end of the show. But at this point, as I'm watching the show, I'm like, what the hell are they doing? Then we had Tag Team Championship Tournament match. We had the Hype Bros versus the Vaudevillains. I expected the Vaudevillains to win this match, only because they're much more established. They need some heel tag team to be in this Final Four. I don't understand it. The Hype Bros looked good in the match. I'm not a big fan of the Hype Bros. I like Zack Ryder. I don't like Mojo Rawley. He just gets to me. But I don't mind them together as much. And they're a tag. They feel like a real tag team. Like, they remind me of an old school face tag team. They're going to come out. They're going to get the crowd rowdy. They're going to get us hype. Get hype. We don't get hype. We stay hype. I hate it. It's annoying. But like I said, together I don't mind. So they go into this match. I'm expecting the Hype Bros to lose. And they don't. They don't. They come out on top with the win. They defeated the Vaudevillains, and they move on in the Tag Team Championship tournament. Surprise to me. I'm very curious to see where they're going. If they're going where I think they're going, this is going to be quite an interesting outcome, and I'm very, very curious to see what the fans are going to think about it all. Then we had AJ Styles, the new face that runs the place, going one-on-one against Apollo Crews. Again, you need to establish Apollo Crews. Why would you feed him to AJ Styles? He just got beat by The Miz, of all people. And now you want to bring him back in, try to let us believe anything, and you're going to put him against your top guy. And you know, as good as he looked, it was a very good match. AJ can wrestle with anybody. He made Apollo look pretty good. It had its moments where, you know, the new, not for nothing, let me sidetrack 1 second. This new camera angle on SmackDown, where we're like in the ring with them, it's terrible. It highlights all the faults in pro wrestling. You see them missing constantly, and it's too close that it gives us such a vantage point where you could see small things, like when a guy has a little miscue and does a little, you know, like a wiggle on the rope because he just didn't quite hit it right. Like, if you keep the camera back a little bit, you don't see so much of those nuances of these little tiny tweaks that they missed, and small things. Like, it just, I feel like I'm in their face, and I feel like I'm in the way of the wrestling match. I'm not crazy about the camera angle, and that was highlighted in this match where they were like right on top of the guys, and you could see that Apollo, anybody that knows anything about wrestling anyway, could see that Apollo Crews was kind of struggling, and he was pulling off some good stuff, but he just wasn't on par with a performer like AJ Styles. I'm sure he took a lot of lessons from that match, and probably was grateful to have that match with somebody the caliber of AJ Styles. It just wasn't the time for something like this, and you know, why didn't you make him fight? You know, I'm not going to go off on that because we got a lot more to talk about here on this card, and we can talk about that later. I'll come back to Baron Corbin at the end of the show. After that, we had Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton again in this verbal duel between the two. Bray Wyatt looks great. I love the new look, with the colors and the hair now and everything. He's always somebody that makes me happy. Like, he's a psychotic man and he says these crazy things, but he makes me smile. I love Bray Wyatt, and I don't know why they're not using him right. He's doing this thing now with Randy. Randy's kind of hurt, so it's going to take a while for them to get into the ring. But this back and forth was interesting to me because they both referred to each other as being broken. They're talking very much like one broken Matt Hardy, which makes me think that maybe they're intentionally trying to have their own Matt Hardy. They take a lot of the stuff that he's doing in TNA and give it to Bray Wyatt to do, like the compound match with the New Day. That was the Final Deletion. They're doing the Final Deletion too, and I wouldn't be surprised if this Randy Orton Bray Wyatt thing ends up being some kind of an outdoor filmed movie compound match. Anyway, this segment, again, although I enjoy Bray Wyatt, a little long, a little useless, just more back and forth talking. Something needs to happen a little more. I mean, we got backlashes like right up our ass here. We got, what, one show left? Maybe two show left before the pay-per-view? Come on, start building this thing up. Stop just letting these guys talk. Make it more interesting, at least. You know, instead of just him in the rocking chair and I am fear, I am a god, I am this. He's pretty much saying the same thing over and over now. And it needs to move along. We need to progress. So we'll see where this goes. Then we had a women's tag team match again. Instead of giving these girls one-on-ones to prove themselves, we had Natalya and Alexa Bliss versus Becky Lynch and Naomi, which by my account was probably the best match on the card. It was very, very entertaining. These girls tore it up. It was a fantastic match. Becky Lynch never disappoints. Naomi is fantastic in the ring. I love her style. This new glow gimmick is great. It's really getting over with me. Alexa Bliss is a spitfire, man. She's tiny, but she packs a punch, and she really can perform. And Natalya, I can't say enough about. I love Natalya. I've always loved Natalya, as I've said many times. I love second-generation superstars. I just get behind the kids. I want them to succeed. Natalya's no different to me. I love everything about this match. It was done very well. The wrestling was fantastic. We also had Nikki Bella on the outside doing commentary, doing some very good commentary, by the way. Kudos to her. And then we had Carmella, Nikki Bella 2.0, jump over the barricade and attack Nikki outside the ring. Unbelievable. Third time in a row now, Carmella's gotten the best of Nikki Bella. I can't wait to see where this goes. The only thing that bothers me is that they kind of look the same. I don't know. People are going to get on me for that. Go ahead, get on me. I look at Nikki Bella and I look at Carmella and I see almost the same person. It's just a mirror image. And they should play off of that. I mean, Nikki Bella has said it. She thinks she's a new version of Nikki Bella. Bootleg Nikki Bella, she liked to call it. But that's fine. I love it. Keep going with that. Because it's true. It's true. They're very similar in appearance and in wrestling style as well. And I can't wait to see that match. So the women's segment, although it was a tag match and that was disappointing, was very uplifting, very entertaining, really great, some good storytelling, progressed the women's storylines on both sides between the women's championship and the Nikki Bella Carmella angle. Great stuff. Then we had some terrible news. We had the return of the Headbangers. What are these guys, like 50? You know, everybody wants to get on Kane and the Big Show and all these guys for being around, and you just bring back, of all the tag teams in the world you could have found, you bring back the fucking Headbangers. Are you serious? I was a headbanger in the 90s. I was a huge wrestling fan in the Attitude Era. Did you know one of the things I hated? The Headbangers tag team. It was never amusing to me. They just were dumb. It was a dumb package. I didn't like it. It's not about the skirts. It's not about the makeup. It's not about the music. It's about the guys. I just didn't like the guys. I didn't think they were great in the ring. They didn't look great here either, as they came out and were entered in the Tag Team Championship tournament for absolutely no reason, with no credibility, no nothing, no match wins, no qualifications. Just the fact that they used to be around in the 90s was enough to get them a shot at the Tag Team Championships. I was not happy about that either. But, you know, they needed it because they said 8 teams, and we needed an 8th team, and they were probably the only ones they can get. So, the Headbangers going up against Heath Slater and Rhino. Everybody take a guess, if you didn't see, as to what happened. I'll give you a moment. That is correct. Heath Slater and Rhino beat the Headbangers in a very, very boring, very lackluster match. The only excitement came towards the end, where one of the Headbangers, I don't know the difference between the two. The tall one I think is Thrash, the little fat one is Mosh. I don't know. One of them did a stinger splash of some sort into the ring post corner where Rhino was standing, and I think he caught him with his necklace or something, because all of a sudden Rhino's face was covered in blood and there was no explaining it. I couldn't figure it out, but Rhino comes in, hits him with the gore. 1, 2, 3. Heath Slater and Rhino move on in the Tag Team Championship tournament. And then we get to our main event of the evening. Baron Corbin going one-on-one with the WWE Champion, Dean Ambrose. This is another match that makes absolutely no sense. Why are you going to make them fight each other? There's no precedent for it. He has more of a reason to stick his nose in wherever Dolph Ziggler is. That's Baron Corbin, I'm talking about. There was no reason for him to fight Dean Ambrose. There's also no reason, like I said earlier, for Apollo Crews to be fighting AJ Styles. It just didn't make any sense. Apollo Crews should have been fighting Baron Corbin. AJ Styles should be interacting a lot more with Dean Ambrose, even though he was outside on commentary. And the end of the match was a big squash. Baron Corbin wins by disqualification because AJ gets involved. And then AJ ends up getting strung up on the ropes by his balls. Very funny. Lots of good on-camera teasing by Dean Ambrose to AJ as he had him laid up on the top rope. It was very amusing. And that's how they pretty much closed the show. And then they moved on to the network to Talking Smack, where nothing really eventful happened this week. Aside from sticking with AJ Styles, you guys got to watch just to see him and Daniel Bryan interact with each other towards the end. These guys deserve their own show. You can call it The Phenom and the Beard. It would be a great show. Just film the two of them just hanging out in a room and talking about the old days, and their chemistry is really great. They were very, very amusing. Go back, check it out if you haven't seen it. That was the highlight of Talking Smack this time. Something funny and entertaining, not something intense and gut-wrenching like last week. So all in all, this show was, in my opinion, it was a bust. It didn't really do much for me. It was kind of slow, kind of boring. The matches didn't make too much sense. They don't look like to be that. They do not look to be building towards anything once again, and that we already have the matches we know. Oh, I'm sorry. There was one other announcement made on Talking Smack, which was that at Backlash, the Intercontinental title will be The Miz versus Dolph Ziggler. So we'll see what they do with that. I really don't have much high hopes for the whole situation, but you know, after Raw, you have to give them a little bit of slack and see, let them have some time, and let's see what they come up with and how they finish this whole thing off. And maybe after Backlash, they'll really start to right the ship and try to put it in an actual direction instead of just floating around in the water and throwing life rafts to this superstar and that superstar and seeing what floats. You know what I mean? So that's all I got to say for SmackDown. We got the CWC, my favorite show, tonight at 9. We got NXT tonight at 8. Maybe we'll actually have a show because there was no real show last week. It was just mostly a recap of NXT TakeOver. And I will see you tomorrow for that. Thank you once again for joining in with us here. And if you missed any of our previous shows, you can always go and take a listen to them on our YouTube channel, as they are only available on Podbean for the first 24 hours, exclusively on Podbean. Then moved on to the YouTube channel. Make sure you hit the like button on any of those videos that you watch. Make sure you subscribe so that you always know when to come back for more. Follow us on Podbean to get the audio podcast. Don't forget to visit us at our Facebook page, Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. Stay tuned this week for the new episode of The Nightmare Room, probably coming at you towards the weekend. Not too sure what we're going to do this week. Maybe I'll give you an update on that tomorrow. As always, you could reach out to me at Twitter. That's at Nick Nightmare on Twitter. Thank you for being part of the Sledgehead Army, for being my Sledgeheads out there. Don't forget to spread the word to your wrestling fans. Get us some more followers. Get us some more fans so that we can get up some more great shows for you and we can grow together as one right here at the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show podcast. Everybody enjoy the shows tonight on the WWE Network. Everybody tune in to TNA tomorrow. Check out what they got going on over there. And I will be back on the weekend with your reviews, news, and highlights in the world of professional wrestling. Thank you once again. Have a great day, guys.